Okay, a little bit about Wires X and System Fusion. Essentially, Wires X and System Fusion are so closely tied, one means the other. The fusion ideology led to what we now call our Wires X. But anyway, let's go. All right, we're going to think about this thing. What is it? Basically, it was Jesus' idea of how to connect radios through the internet and with each other. It's a takeoff from the old wire system that they had originally where they linked radios together. That's kind of it in a nutshell. Fusion is the general system, the whole overall of everything, repeaters, radios, and all that. Wires X is the actual technology that makes the voice communications happen. Okay. Of course, the Wires X radios all will do conventional FM, your standard FM we've always used with tones and everything else, but then they add the digital capability to it. One of the great things, though, about the Wires X radios, because they do the digital, they will also allow you to mix and match and do some automatic mode selection back and forth, which we'll talk more about later on, which the D-Star radios, for example, don't do. Yeah, voice and data mode. When in voice and data mode, that means the bandwidth for voice and data is 12.5 kilohertz. It'll take 6.25 kilohertz for voice data, 6.25 for digital data, so it can do both at once. Or you can have full voice rate, which is the full 12.5, or on full digital, which is also 12.5. FM is still 25 kilohertz bandwidth. Okay, what makes it work? Pixie dust and gremlins. Okay. Okay. Voice and data allows both to be transmitted at the same time. Full voice gives you a little bit better quality voice, obviously. Full, and when we're doing data, of course, we're doing data only, and there's special provisions for that. Okay, let's see. All of the radios have GPS built in. And the reason for that is they will report their position. We can use a group thing called group mode, where we set up group numbers. Let's say we have 3 different groups going out in different areas doing a search and rescue kind of thing. So Group A can set a certain code on their radios. They can communicate between those radios, send data between the radios. When I key, it will automatically send my position to those same radios in my group. So we can all kind of coordinate where we're going. That's part of the grouping there. The reason for having the GPS that's one of those reasons anyway. APRS is built in. Every time you key the radio in digital mode, it transmits your call sign for you, and anything that needs to be transferred, it will be transferred when you key down. You can also send brief text messages. Now, that's pretty clunky when you've got to put a message in over the keypad, but it can be done. And then there's also a picture mode there. Boy, I'm losing my voice. Excuse me just a second if you want to pause it. I'm going to get a cough drop here just a second. I'm good. Yaesu has a camera microphone that you can actually use and take pictures and send those pictures in. The Wires X repeaters, the Fusion repeaters, also have a news mode where you can actually send those pictures to the repeater and store it, and somebody else can go in and look and check news and actually see it. So that's a capability we don't talk about very often, but it is out there. Okay, and that's the digital data portion. There's a lot of help available out there, a lot of different sources. Of course, the internet obviously has got all kinds of stuff. YouTube's got all kinds of stuff. There is a Wires X, Yaesu has a Wires X channel on YouTube. The national sales manager puts out a video, usually about once a quarter or so, about the latest things going on with Wires X. Okay, the automatic mode selection is one of the neat things. If you set the radio for AMS, then it will automatically figure out what's coming in. If it gets a digital signal coming in, it'll switch to digital. If you're transmitting in digital and the repeater is set for AMS, then it will transmit in digital. And then you can also lock it if you want to lock it to be whatever you want on either end. What we do in our case, we actually have Fusion repeaters at both our locations right now. Our main VHF repeater up at 75 and 380 is set to accept anything that comes in. So you can transmit to it with digital, you can transmit to it with FM, it doesn't care. But it only transmits FM. The Melissa repeater, on the other hand, has full AMS. If you transmit digital into it, it retransmits digital and vice versa. Which brings another quick thought about that sort of thing. What about tones? Since that repeater can do both FM and the digital, and if I'm on FM and I tune to that repeater and somebody's talking digital, what am I going to hear? Bunch of noise. We also transmit the CTCSS tone at the same time. So you can, in your radio, you can set the tone for it, and that way you will only receive it if it's transmitting in FM. With FM, we transmit the tone back. So that way you don't hear the shh digital if you just have a plain FM radio. So it gives you kind of the best of both worlds, which again is a good thing about the Fusion system. Fusion doesn't try to lock out everybody else. It wants to work with everybody else and let the FM succeed and do what it does best.
So our 2 meters are capable of the analog and digital?
I'm sorry,
2 meter repeaters
our 2 meter repeaters.
are capable of both the analog and the digital?
That's right,
With
yes.
the stipulation you made about 75
Yes, it'll go with the way out. But we have it locked, as we said. Now, we don't have to do it, but that we chose to do that. I remember on one occasion, I don't know if you know Josh, KF5 PTT has a handheld. And he lives over near the Baylor Hospital. And we were on the net, and he was coming in just really scratchy. And he switched to digital, and it was just clear as a bell. Of course, he's transmitting digital, we're all receiving FM analog, which was great.
So Melissa is currently transmitting CTSS?
Yes, but both do. I believe the 75380 also transmits the CTS, doesn't it, Ron? I think we have it just so we have it there, so we'll have it if we ever want to use it. Yeah. They overload the world, basically. Yeah. Yeah. It literally is. We've wrestled with that for a long time, haven't we, Ron?
Yeah. In fact, I had a rare opportunity to talk to a senior design engineer from Raytheon when he moved to Corvo. And he asked me, he said, we were talking exact Corvo, and he said, oh, so you're in the Ham of it. You're in McKinney? Yeah, right. He said, have you ever heard any interference or anything? And I said, well, funny you should mention that. It's at the oddest times, kind of like, at night, graveyard shift and whatnot. I said, you know anything about it? And he turns and he says, now this Radio Shack.
Uh-huh. Lot can be said by what's not said.
Yeah, right.
Okay. And you can also change these on the fly if you need to. There's a button there, mode button, and you can change modes if you need to. Okay, now we've actually already said this. We can set anything we want, we can lock it or unlock it. Your call sign and the repeater receive frequency are the only things that you need to work with Wires X. Now, if you get a Wires X radio, the first thing it's going to ask you when you turn it on is to put it in your call sign. And then that's all you have to do. Then you need the repeater's frequency. If you go to Repeater Book or Artsy or one of those places where you can get the repeater frequencies, normally they will give you the frequency that you're listening on, which is the repeater's transmit frequency. Put that frequency in, push the Wires X button, and that's it. It'll figure out what the offset is. You don't need any tones for the Wires X to work. and it will establish that connection. And you'll know it's been established because it'll go beep, 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 beep. If it has a problem, it'll go beep, 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 beep. So going up is good, coming down is disconnect or bad. Yes?
Is the repeater receive frequency or transmit frequency you put in?
You're putting in the repeater's transmit frequency, which is what you normally see in a repeater book. Did I say it backward? It's not unusual for me to say it backwards. So, anyways, the standard frequency that when you say what's the McKinney repeater frequency 146 174, that's or on the UHF 443 200. Yeah, that's all you need. Just that thing. I handed out a list of the Wires X repeaters in Texas. And again, that's all you need is just put in that frequency. You can do it in VFO mode for that matter. You don't have to be in memory mode. Okay, and then of course you can save that in memories. You can program the radios any way you want to. You can do the finger mode method and save it. It's much easier if you program it with a cable and use your computer, obviously. Mike mentioned the thing about the adapters and USB drivers. A crazy thing has happened on the way to the forum. The internet cables that came with my FT3 and my FTM 400 in my truck have an older chip that's not compatible with Windows 11. So it comes up and it says, oh, that's an older chip. We're not compatible with that. You need to update your software. And you update the software and it says the same thing. It won't talk. But if you go back about 3 versions and load the Windows 8 version of that, it works fine. And you can still use the old cable. You don't have to buy the new cable with the new numbers on it. So just an FYI if you're using the computer to program your radio. Anyway, in the memory channel or in the memory data, you'd save all the information you want, the frequency, the offset tones, the mode that you're going to operate in, anything that you want to put in there, you can put in. And of course, it will remember it from you. There's no registration required to use Wires X unless you're setting up a Wires X room like we do in McKinney. We have a Wires X room that belongs to us, so we do have to register that to make it work. We have to register it with Yaesu. There's no charge for it. Okay? Works good. Just ask your cat to help you if you run into a problem. So make this thing work. We set the repeater's frequency. It can be done in VF mode if need be. No tones or anything else. Tap the Wires X button just for a second or so. Turn it loose. It'll do a little thingy knob there. Come back, give you that little beep, 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 and you're connected. And then to disconnect, depending on the radio, you either hold down the Wires X button for several seconds, or on some of the other radios like the FT991, 991A has a disconnect button. You tap the disconnect button and it will disconnect you from it. You'll hear the tone, as we said, and the display will change and let you know that you're connected to Wires X. In the Yaesu world, we call the external places rooms rather than reflectors. It's the same idea. It's like a telephone conference center, if you want to call it like that, but it's called a room. We have our own room. We have our own room name, and in Yaesu, you can tell it to go to a particular room by name or by number if you want to, or you can select one on the fly as you go along the way. On some of the radios, especially the mobile radios with the larger screens, when somebody's talking and they're talking from a Yaesu radio that does have the GPS and they're out where they can see the GPS, it'll actually give you the distance between you and them, so you know about how far they're talking from. And of course, it gives you their call sign, as we said. The same as with D-Star, with Wires X. Technically, you don't have to give your call sign because every time you key, it's going to transmit your call sign. But convention is most of us do anyway. It's just kind of common courtesy that we do that. Okay? Okay, and then the connection stays up as long as we're talking. Our repeater, as are most Wires X repeaters set up, will disconnect after 30 minutes if there's no local activity. So I go in, I connect to a room someplace. As long as somebody's talking every now and then, it'll stay connected indefinitely. Nobody's talking after 30 minutes, it will default back to our room. So if I just hook up Wires X, I automatically go to McKinney's room unless somebody else is talking to a different room. It doesn't allow us to do a double. because it's already talking to somebody. You try to come in, it will just, I don't know how it does it, but it just won't pay any attention to you. So to get anything to happen, you've got to have a break. Kind of like the D-Star again. If you want to disconnect from the room, normally you've got to have a break in the conversation. Then you hit the disconnect button or hold down the X button in order to disconnect. Okay, the Kansas City wide room is one of the best ones in my mind that's out there. Also, when you connect to a room, it will tell you how many people are in that room right now, how many people are connected to it. The Japan room is the biggest one usually. It'll have 100 to 150 people connected at any one time. Kansas City will usually have 100, 125 maybe. Texas Nexus is the one for Texas. It will generally run anywhere 25, 35 people. But the Texas Nexus is kind of quiet. People don't say much. Kansas City wide, you got Motor Mouse on Kansas City wide. Also, whoever runs that repeater is a genius, I think. They have so many different nets and different groups that meet during the week. There was one guy has the food net. And his standard question is, what are you having for dinner tonight? And it's entertaining just to listen to it. I was listening one night and this guy in Iceland came on and he was having some kind of fish. And I'm like, what? And I went and looked up this fish, and it was some kind of a weird freshwater fish that only ran in freshwater in Iceland or something like that. It was really weird stuff. But, and there's all kinds of, there's 2 or 3 different ladies' nets for the ladies in particular on that particular repeater. So it's a lot of fun. This is off my 991. I have the older 991, not the A model, but this particular screen will be about the same. You know, this is after I have pressed another button to tell, I want to know who's on that I can connect to. The Japan room is the top one. At that time, it had 166 people connected. The Kansas City wide had 127. The Philippine link had 64. The Americas link, which is probably a second to the Kansas City wide, had 50-something there. And the Texas Nexus had 38. So I would go down and pick whichever one of those I want. Depending on the radio, you can use the knob to go up and down, or you can actually tap it like on the handheld. I just tap that one, and it will go. On this one, I would select whichever one I want and tap the select button on the radio, and it will go do its little thing. And then the display will change to something that looks like that. It says I'm in the W5MRC node. That's where I'm going through in McKinney, but I'm connected to Kansas City wide, which has 127 people currently logged in.
The previous screen gave you all the different groups, whatever. That is because you were connected to our...
First, connected to our repeater first. Correct. So I went in, first of all, I went to our frequency, I tapped the X button, and it does this little thing, and it goes beep, 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 and it says McKinney connected, basically. And then I have this screen, and I tap this all button, and go back one, and this screen comes up, and then I have a little knob right about here, a little universal knob, or no, excuse me, right there, a multi-knob. I can use that to go up and down the list to the one I want, and then tap the select button, and then forward again, and it shows me that. And this also has a disconnect button, you'll notice on this radio over there. So if I want to disconnect, I can tap disconnect and disconnect from that room. On the repeater, it's 30 minutes. If there's no local activity on the repeater, it'll time out and reset to our room after 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. Okay, our room number is 61897. We're called MARC-W5MRC. There are a number of MARC names out there on the internet, so that's why I put our call sign with that when I registered it. By the way, I set this thing up from the original Go, which is kind of, so I guess it's kind of near and dear to my heart because of that reason. A list of the rooms and the names of the rooms there you can find on Yaesu's website in Japan. And by the way, a lot of this stuff is coordinated through that same website. It's where it's kept up with. I do the all button. I get a list of 20 of the most populated rooms. And I show a showing 5 there a while ago. I can scroll up and keep going down. Or if I want to go to a particular room number, I can use the search button and type in the room number or the room name I want to go to and go straight to it. Pardon me. And then I can also save those as a favorite if I want to. If I always go back to one often, I can save that as a favorite. And then when it comes up, instead of pressing all, I tap the favorite button and then just tap the one I want to go to. Now, there's a little delay. When you press the all button, for example, it's got to go from your radio to us all the way to the big systems in Japan and back, and then transmit back to me that list of 20 stations. So there's a little bit of delay that's involved with that. It's not bad, but it is a delay. So that's why the favorites can be kind of handy if you want to populate favorites. Okay. Okay, the group, the. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pick one. And by the way, since you mentioned hotspots, I don't talk about hotspots here, but there's been a lot of improvement in hotspots in the last few years. Tremendous amount of improvement. Originally, there was a real problem with hooking to the YSF reflectors or rooms for Yaesu, but a lot of them have worked that out now where you can do exactly what you said. Some of them, like the old Pi Star systems, you had to almost program it in ahead of time before you brought it up to go to a particular room. Uh-huh. It'll show it. Mm-hmm. Okay, group monitor function is what I was talking about a while ago. You have a group numbers from 00 to 99. And again, the beauty for this would be, as I said, for example, if we had 3 groups going out on a search looking for something, and group A is assigned 1, 2, and the second group is assigned 48, and the third group is assigned 56, whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as we all have the same number in our group, that allows us to communicate within our group. And I can just key my radio and turn it loose, and everybody in that group will receive my position based on my GPS. So everybody knows where everybody is just by a key. I can also send little text messages back and forth. With the keyboard, obviously, it's a pain to do that, but you can do that if you need to. And you talk within your group by using the group function. I don't know of anybody that's used it recently, but it's a good feature. If we ever want to use it, it's there. Okay.
All 3 groups could be on the same frequency.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Correct. It's almost like using different CTCSS tones. And maybe that's what they're doing. I'm not sure how they're doing it, but okay. Practice. Whoops, did it do the okay. The little camera is there, as we said. It's a fairly low-res camera. Let's see, what was before 640? 320 by 240. There we go. So it's not a high-res camera, but it's okay. It does its thing. And again, you can send it to other radios, or you can send it to a Fusion repeater and store it in the news section of that repeater if you want to do that. It does allow some text messaging along the way. Uses VoIP. I think we mentioned that already. Okay, it also has a get back function, so you can turn that on, go someplace, and say, I need to get back, and it'll take you back to your shack. If you have a shack like that, you're in a heap of trouble, but that's beside the point. Oh, my. Digital voice is one of those all or nothing things. With FM, it gets scratchier and scratchier and scratchier until finally you just can't pull it out. With the digital, it's good, and it's good, and it's good, and boom, it's gone. When you hit the end of the tether, you hit the end of the tether all at once. It doesn't fade out. Okay? That's the little microphone camera that they have in a picture that they use as a sample. Okay. The repeater itself is a very interesting piece of work. There are two repeaters, the 1 and the 2. We have the 2, which is the latest. It's basically an FTM 400 mobile radio. It's really what it is, put into a 19-inch rack mount system. But anyway, they've beefed it up a lot. It's not just the standard radio, but it's based on that nonetheless. It can output it at 50, 25, or 10 watts. I believe ours is set at 25, if I remember right, and that seems to be plenty for us. It has its own built-in AC power supply, has extra fans in it to keep it cool, and some ducting in there to make the air go where it's supposed to go. The AMS selection is there. On our Melissa repeater, we do have AMS turned on. So if it receives digital, it transmits digital. If it receives FM, it transmits FM. And of course, we can fix that. We can make it one or the other. The 75380 is fixed on transmit. It always transmits FM. That same one also is VHF and UHF in the same box. So basically, you just put in whatever frequency you want, just like a mobile radio. As opposed to some other repeaters, especially the older repeaters, you got a VHF repeater or you got a UHF repeater. They were totally different boxes. This one can go either way. These are some of the older ones. You might see some of those you recommend that you would remember. I had an FT2 and I've got the FT3 now. I've not bought a 5 yet. I haven't found a compelling reason to move up from that. Maybe someday I will. I also have the FTM 400 radio in my truck. That's been superseded. The DR2X repeater is over on the right in the middle. That's the repeater that we actually have. It's all in one box. You know, it's a 19-inch box and about 5 inches tall, 4 inches tall. I guess 4 rack units tall. Those are the older radios, the newer radios. The 991A, which is the updated 991, which includes a better waterfall display and some other things. 510, 310, 70DR. 70DR has been around for a long, long time, but it's a nice handheld. And then the FT5 is the current Wires X handheld. 991A has the waterfall display, which, as we said, nice. It's an all-mode, all-band, do-it-all radio, basically, which is kind of nice. And has the big display on it so you can see a lot of the things that's going on out there. 100 watts on HF, 50 watts on VHF. UHF, of course, it requires 12 volt power supply. It can be mounted mobile, but it's a little bit big for a mobile radio. Some of the newer ones have this ASP advertised on them, the audio signal processing, which gives you a little bit better audio quality coming out of the thing. And that's one of them there. Also has this thing called the PMG, Primary Memory Group. You can put 5 different frequencies in that primary memory group, kind of like a favorites, if you please. Put those in there. That way you just do the primary memory 3 and go to 1, or you can have it scan all of what you've put into the primary group and scan continuously for those frequencies. Same thing, a little bit different, a little bit scaled down version. Still has the primary memory group. FT70, as we said, has been around for a long time, but it's just a good solid radio. The problem with the FT70 and Wires X is it's clunky to use. The FT3s, the FT5s have the Wires X designed in to be easy to use. This one, you've kind of got to force it. The process of getting into Wires X is just a little bit more difficult. It works good, it's okay, but it's just clunky, and the display is real small to give you very much information. So it's kind of a poor man's way of getting into Wires X. Of course, it does the standard FM and everything that you would expect. Okay. Oh, sorry. 5DR is the latest in the handhelds. That thing is still pretty pricey too. Well, I don't know. I think I saw it on main trading for $400. Okay. Yeah. They often have a discount coupon thing there, a rebate coupon or something to help bring the price down. But anyway, it's a nice radio. I just haven't had it. Now this is where it gets interesting.
Emma. Emma. Emma?
Okay, so that's kind of quick and dirty. Any thought, any questions?